Hello, and welcome to Lost and Found No More Secrets. It's the show where DNA Angels explores the extraordinary journeys of our clients who have uncovered long lost family connections through the power of DNA testing. Today, we have the honor of sharing the remarkable story of our first guest, Athena, whose journey from searching for her birth father to finding acceptance and belonging will inspire and uplift audiences everywhere. This story is a story of resilience, forgiveness, and unbreakable bonds of family. Athena embarked on a quest to unravel the mysteries of her origins, facing obstacles and heartache along the way. But through determination and support of her loved ones, she discovered the truth that had eluded her for so long. Join us as we delve into Athena's journey of self-discovery, navigating the highs and lows of the DNA surprise community, and ultimately finding healing and connection. Through her courage and vulnerability, Athena reminds us that no secret is too buried to be unearthed, and no journey is too daunting to undertake. Sit back, grab a tissue, and prepare to be moved by the incredible story of Athena as we embark on a journey of love, redemption, and the power of embracing our true selves. Welcome to Lost and Found, No More Secrets. My name is Laura Olmstead, and I am the founder and executive director of DNAngels, and I am joined today by Heidi Billingsley Kuiper, who is a genetic genealogist, and she's also the team lead for one of the team leads for our entire angel division.
Hello.
So welcome, Heidi. How's it going?
It's awesome. What do you think about DNA Day today?
That's what I was going to say. We have something really powerful to celebrate today. So it is DNA Day. 25 years ago, we discovered the human genome. So yay for that.
We wouldn't be here doing what we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
For that.
Because this is our first episode, a lot of people may not even know what DNAngels is, who DNAngels is. And let me just give you a very brief overview because we want to dive right into Athena's story. DNAngels is a nonprofit that we founded in 2019 because we felt like people needed to have an affordable option of identifying their birth parents. And it's affordable because we make it free. So we identified birth parents at no cost using ancestry DNA results for anybody who has a parent that was presumed to be born in America, the UK, the British Isles, Scotland, Ireland, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is part of America, but a lot of people don't actually realize that. So to date, I just did the numbers this morning. Heidi, we have solved 5,552 cases.
That is huge.
Isn't it crazy? It's just so crazy. I'm so proud of us. I am just so proud of us. So we're just a bunch of search angels and genetic genealogists that volunteer our time day in and day out to find answers for those who are seeking. Our clients are what we call NPEs. So someone who took a DNA test and found out that their dad or their mom wasn't their real dad or real mom. We work with adoptees. We work with donor conceived people. And then in Athena's case, she never knew who her dad was. So all her life, she knew that, the dad on her birth certificate wasn't correct. So she's been searching for him all her life. And that's a very common client that we get as well. So with that being said, shall we go ahead and welcome Athena?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, Miss Athena. Give me just a moment and I will fix our template here. I want everybody to know, by the way, this is real life. My dogs are in the room fussing up a storm right now. So if you hear barking or growling, I really can't control that. We all work from home. And there will be technical difficulties along the way. This is a new template for us using StreamYard. We love the ability to brand it, but it's new to me to use. So please just give us grace along the way. Athena, welcome to Lost and Found.
Thank you so much.
Heidi, you want to go ahead and start us off with Athena?
Right. So Athena came to me several years ago, which kind of, when I thought back to thinking back to when I started her story that long ago, I was like, wow, I've really been a part of this organization for a while. And Athena was the perfect client. And she has an amazing story with a lot of twists and turns. But before we go into a deep dive into your story, Athena, would you give us a little bit of a background about your family structure and what it was like growing up for you?
Growing up, for until I was 8, I grew up with my mother. She raised me as a single mother. She remarried to my stepfather. It wasn't a very good situation, and he was nothing of a father figure. She gave me a younger brother. I don't speak to him or my mother very much anymore at all. It was really rocky. Really, there was a lot of abuse going on at the hands of my stepfather. So that's
So at what age were you when you started getting curious about wanting to find your answers?
I had always been curious my entire life. Ever since I was little, I would always ask my mom why I didn't have a dad and all my friends did. I started getting really serious about when I had my first son. I was 20 years old. I saw how amazing my husband was with him, how amazing it was witnessing my child have a father, and how amazing his bond with my husband's parents are as well. Grandparents are an amazing thing. And so I just knew like I couldn't keep questioning it. There was always a void. So
Right, right. So tell me, what was your first step in trying to find out who your biological father was? What was the first step you took?
initially, I went to my mother, and she had always told me she didn't know who it was. She had a whole list of men it could have been. I went to her, I got the list, and I reached out to these people via social media. I got to know 3 of them very well. And I took paternity tests with each of them, figuring sure enough it had to be somebody on my mom's list, and each of them came back negative every time.
Now, did you build relationships with these men in the meantime while you were waiting for the test to come back?
I did, especially with 2 of them. One of them very much so. He was the last one I tested with, and I was absolutely crushed when it wasn't him. I thought he was the most perfect father I could have asked for. We talked on the phone every day. It was interesting experience, and I remember we were both very sad when we got the news that it wasn't.
I can imagine.
Yeah. We still talk though, so it's really
That
cool.
was my next question. Do you still talk to him?
Yes. I actually just talked to him a couple weeks ago. He's been asking how everything's going because he knew my stepmother and my father in the military.
Oh, okay.
So it's a strange turn of events for sure. But yes, we still talk, and I still talk to one of the other men I tested with, would have been a paternal grandfather. I still talk to him as well. Not as often, but we're still in contact, still friends on Facebook. So
you take an ancestry DNA test, you get your results back, and I'm sure you're like, what do I do with this information?
Yeah.
You're probably overwhelmed, right? Because you don't know what centimorgans mean or what the different type of relationships mean. So what was your next step?
I took my ancestry results, and I found a Facebook group on Facebook. It's called, and there's quite a bit of search angels from DNAngels in that group. My mind was just blown with the results that I got. I had no idea how to make any sense of it. I made a post in that group, and Heidi had commented on it as, she volunteered her time, and I chose to reach out to her. Felt like it was the best fit.
I'm so glad you did. I'm so very glad you did. So I believe you had an uncle match.
Yes.
And so we had a last name. And with that last name, I remember you went to mom.
Yes.
And that's when mom said, hey, that sounds like so go into that story.
Yes. So I got the results. Heidi helped me organize them, figure out what was what. And my closest match was a paternal uncle. We got the last name. I went to my mother and I was like, this last name is not, you haven't mentioned this name at all, ever. And I remember she appeared to be taken aback a little bit at the name. she gave me the name of my biological father based off of the shared last name.
Right. I think I gave you contact information next.
Yes, she
And
gave
I
me
was your
everything.
cheerleader telling you to call, and you were so nervous, but you were also so brave. And you called him, and so it happened.
I gave him a call. The number that Heidi gave me, she gave me everything. She gave me all of his contact information. It was amazing. True superhero. So I gave him a call with the most recent number, and it went to voicemail. Turns out he doesn't take calls he doesn't know anyway. So it went to voicemail. I told Heidi, I was like, what do I do now? She was like, well, we have a Facebook. So I sent him a message on Facebook, kind of with the rundown that they recommend you send. And then he got my Facebook message and called my number back.
Okay, I want you to just tell in the same story that you were said in your email. From here on out, it's all you, because this is such an incredible story with so many layers to it.
So his first reaction was shock. It was a secret he had buried for so long. He was married at the time of my conception, not to my mother. So he had buried that secret for a very long time anyway. And to find out that he had a child that was conceived from that situation, it shocked him. He was terrified. He was married with a beautiful wife and a beautiful family of 5 other kids. He was shocked. He was scared. He was very polite on the phone. Very polite.
I bet your heart was just beating out of your chest.
It was all I could remember thinking. As soon as he picked up the phone, he said, "Athena, hi," and all I could think, just 1,000 words a minute. Just that was the one thing I could focus on, was that was my dad's voice I was hearing for the very first time, and it just, I would start crying already.
Did you feel a connection with him even on the phone, just initially, those first few words?
Yes, ma'am, I did. I felt like I just knew it was him. I was almost like, even if I hadn't taken an ancestry test and I heard his voice, I would have known that was my dad. Just this weird connection. But yeah, I remember that was the most amazing thing. It was almost like a lullaby. It's just like, yeah. So his initial reaction was fear, shock. He was very polite on the phone. I had offered no contact if that was his choice. Very often in these situations, I think they need to be offered an out sometimes. I do wish I had it offered that, but it is highly recommended to give that option. So he took the no contact route, and I remember my heart just it shattered to 1,000 tiny little pieces, and I'd only talked to him for, it was about a 20-minute phone call. And I got some medical history. I found out that heart problems run very, very common in the family. Type 1 diabetes. My younger brother has type 1. My cousin has type 1. So I did get some medical history. And he had asked me to not reach out to any other family members.
Did you tell him that you had the uncle match?
Yes, I did.
Was he concerned that that was going to come out on its own?
Yes, he was concerned about that. And I did not listen to my father. I did reach out to my uncle match on Ancestry. And my uncle, he called my father and was like, "Hey, dude, you're a grandpa before I was. What the heck's going on?" Because my uncle's older than him. So my dad, told him what happened and then asked him to keep no contact as well. My uncle tried to do that initially, but we chatted on Ancestry in the messaging feature a little bit, and I was like, just because my dad says he doesn't want any contact shouldn't mean I can't get to know other members of my family. I was like, I would love to get to know you. You are a window into the other side of who I am as a person. My uncle bless his soul. I feel like he saved. He's the reason I have all of this now. Is my uncle. He decided to get to know me. At first, it was just texting. We would text here and there, and then we became very, very close. He would text me all day, every day. He's a stay-at-home dad. He would text me all day, every day. We would talk on the phone, and after about a year of just virtual contact, he drove up here to meet me for the first time. He brought his wife, my aunt, and my twin cousins. They were 10, 11 at the time. They drove up here from Arkansas to Wyoming to come
Wow.
meet us. It was crazy. I remember the first time I met my uncle. I heard his voice, and it wasn't the same as when I heard my dad on the phone, but it was very similar. Of a feeling. And I remember he didn't say anything to me when he walked into my house. He just gave me a big bear hug. And all I could think at the time was, this is like the first time I'm ever touching skin to skin in physical contact with somebody from my father's side. And it was just like, we both broke down crying, my uncle and I both, in my living room. It was the most amazing thing meeting my uncle. So over the course of about 2 years, we got to know each other very well. We did lots of, family trips. He would come up to Wyoming to visit me and my kiddos, my husband. We would go down to Arkansas to go meet him, all the while still being a secret from the rest of the family. It was just my uncle, my aunt, and my cousins. It was amazing being in contact with my uncle, but being a secret was killing me inside. It was the heaviest weight I've ever felt. Sorry. It was the heaviest weight I've ever felt. And I think it's because I always had that void in me. Oh gosh.
We're
Sorry.
doing
Trip it over.
It's okay. Take a minute. We know how heavy this is, Athena. It's really heavy.
So I would try to enjoy the time with my uncle and my cousins. And he came up here for the 4th of July one year, and he brought my older cousin. She's a year older than I am. She's a young mom as well. She has a little boy who's 6 months younger than mine. And I got to know her so well. We joke, like we call each other aunts to our kids. We joke that we're sister cousins. She's one of my best friends. She could see how it was killing me the longer and longer we went. And I was loving my time with my family that I had, but it was at the same time, it was almost like, why is it so easy for my uncle to love me and so hard for my dad to love me? Why do I have to call my cousins my sisters? But just all the time, I remember I would stay up at night and I would look at his Facebook, and I would look at him, and I couldn't imagine why it was so hard for him to love me, and it was so easy for my uncle. So anyway, fast forward a couple years, and super close with my cousin, and she's done with it. She's done. She's like, I can't keep keeping you a secret. You weren't made to be a secret. You are a person, and I love you. And hearing those words. So we were scheming like little teenage girls, trying to figure out a way to kind of let the secret out of the bag. And we had thought multiple different ways. We thought about reaching out to my stepmother and going that route. We thought about reaching out to one of my little brothers, going that route. We decided to get her an ancestry test. It was a fake test. I mean, it wasn't a fake test, but it was she took her results and was messaging me on Ancestry like we didn't know each other, so that I could take that to my father and be like, look, I have to take this opportunity to know my family. Because at the point,
that was genius, by the way. Genius.
my father didn't know I was in contact with them. And so I was like, I have to take this opportunity. I'm sorry. I can't keep living like this. And he had told me again to tell my cousin that I would ruin lives, ruin a family, to try and keep her quiet. And we were all scheming while we were down on a family trip in Arkansas. So
So
she was
you're
like,
together with your cousin.
yes, yes,
Your father has no idea
no,
that you're probably sitting next to her.
yes,
You're both talking to him at the same time.
yes.
That is so genius.
Yes, and she was like, "Oh heck no, I'm not doing that. No." So she kind of at this point my uncle was in on it a little bit, and he was talking to my dad, and he was like, "I don't think Kara's or my cousin's gonna." Sorry, that we're gonna have to edit that out.
You're fine.
It's okay. It's YouTube.
I don't think we're going to. I don't think my daughter's gonna let that go. You gotta come clean, man. And my dad asked if we could give him a little bit of time, wait until the next day that he and his wife would be kidless for a few days. It was about 3 weeks later. And I was like, I guess, yeah, we can wait that long. Absolutely. And my cousin, she was like, So he ended up telling his wife because he couldn't wait any longer. It was eating him alive. He told his wife a day later. And I remember I messaged him a few times, and I said, look, I'm not trying to destroy your life, but I can't keep living mine like this. I was like, oh, I'll help you in any way I can. I mean, but I can't live like this. And he was very polite, said, thank you, Athena, for being so understanding. He told his wife, and I decided to stay another week in Arkansas and spend some more time with my aunt, my uncle, and my cousins and my aunt. And that was like the butterfly effect. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. It was just a little decision, and I never thought it would be so monumental. But so my husband had to go home. He had to return to Wyoming for work. So I brought him to the Little Rock airport that morning, super early in the morning. I was going to stay another week. So I drove him up there, and then I drove back 2 hours to my uncle's house and went to take a nap because I had both of my boys with me, and we got up like 4 in the morning. So we went to go lay down for a quick nap, and about 10 minutes later, maybe 15 minutes later, my uncle knocks on the door, which is not something that he would normally do. Knocks on the spare bedroom door, and he's like, Athena, I need to talk to you, sweetheart. And I was like, oh no, what did I do? What's going on? Because I knew everything. I knew he had just told his wife. It's like, oh boy. So he came, got me. I went and sat on the couch, and my cousin was sitting there, and it did not look like a good situation. So I sat down, and I was like, what's going on? And he was like, your dad's coming up here to meet you tonight. I had only decided the night before to stay another week in Arkansas. I told my uncle I was going, or my dad, I'm so sorry. I told my dad I was going up to Arkansas to meet my family, and that he should take this opportunity if he wanted it. As if I was meeting my family for the first time. So with that knowledge that I was going to be going to Arkansas, and having told his wife encouraged him. She said, you got to go. You got to make things right. So we joked that he looked like a hobo when he showed up. He showed up in basketball shorts and this like Chevy symbol t-shirt. Didn't smell very good, but he had thrown a bunch of random stuff in his bag. But
how long of a drive was it for him?
It was about 8 hours, and he says he doesn't remember any of that drive.
Wow.
He was so just, he had a secret for 25 years, and then he had a secret daughter for 2.5 years. And I would probably not remember the drive either if I were in his shoes. But he texted me and called me multiple times on the way up. He was like, we were talking about how nervous we were to meet each other. He got there it was 10:51 p.m. or 9:51 p.m., 10:51 p.m. his time. I remember that moment. I will always remember that moment. It's just like when you have a baby and your baby's born. You never ever forget that moment. That was just as monumental.
Well, tell us about that moment. So he drives up.
He drives up. I was super nervous the entire time. The rest of the day was a blur for me as well. I don't remember any of it. After the point that I knew he was coming up, and I drank a whole bottle of wine, trying to calm my nerves. Not the best decision, because he texted me. He said 5 minutes away, and I went and lost the entire bottle of wine. Nerves do a number on me. So I just got done with that, and I went outside, and he texted me and he said, knock, knock, right as he was pulling into my uncle's driveway. I brought my baby monitor out for my son. I was plugging it in, and I turned around, and my dad was standing there in front of me. And it was, I don't know how to describe that feeling. It was like I was looking at the man that was half of who I am, but also the man that broke my heart. Let me tell you, that first hug, it was like he was putting all of the pieces back together that he broke. Because it took a video of us in that moment. I had been through so much in my life. Always always wishing I had a dad to protect me. And I've never felt safer than I did in that moment in my dad's arms. And I tried to let go of the hug so I could look at him a little better because it was dark outside. And he was like, no, I'm not done. And he went back in for the hug again. I have never felt so broken and so healed all in one. But he spent the rest of that week with us. He spent 6 days with me and my boys down in Arkansas. We did a lot of talking, a lot of arguing. We have very, very similar personalities, which is crazy. You could go your whole life without meeting somebody and have the same exact personality. There was a lot of talking, a lot of arguing, a lot of getting to know each other, even down to little things like mannerisms. Trying to learn everything about each other in such a short span of time. It was that Wednesday, so that happened on a Sunday night. That Wednesday, I got to meet my grandparents for the first time, and they are in their 70s. My grandmother, she's not in the best of health, so I went 2 years, between my dad's denial and this point, thinking I would never ever get to meet these people. Almost knowing without a shadow of a doubt that I would never ever get to meet my grandparents. And I didn't have grandparents growing up, so that was really important to me. So I got to meet my grandparents. We went up there. My grandpa's not very happy with my dad over it all. So that was another huge moment in my life, was getting to meet my grandparents, because I never thought I would get to meet them. I figured I would have found out from my uncle that they would have passed away. And I never would have gotten the ability to do that. And while we were up there, my grandfather, we were sitting at his kitchen table, me and my dad and my grandfather and my uncle. And my grandfather said, so are you coming up for Thanksgiving? And that was 3 weeks later. And by this point, I had only met my uncle, my father, and my grandparents. And there's a whole family. My dad has 5 other kids, a wife, there's aunts and uncles. I remember looking at my dad like, am I going to come up for Thanksgiving? And so I did get to go for Thanksgiving, and that was where I met my brothers and sisters for the first time, and my stepmom for the first time, my other uncle, another aunt. Meeting my brothers and my sisters for the first time was the exact same feeling as when I met my dad. I came home from Arkansas from that initial trip, came home, and I was home for 3 weeks, and then I flew down to my uncle's house again. My dad drove up with my siblings and met us at my uncle's house, and that was just amazing. It was a little bit awkward because they're like, oh, what's this chick? And I'm super awkward anyway, so I don't know
What's
what
the
to say.
age difference between you and your siblings?
My youngest older brother, so I'm the oldest. My youngest, or my oldest younger brother, yes, oldest younger brother. He is 23, so we're only a year apart. My birthday is June 11th. The year before him, his birthday is June 12th. The year after.
Oh wow.
Yes. My next brother, he just turned 18. A couple months ago, just turned 18. My other brother, he turned 16 today, I think. Actually, yes, today.
Happy birthday.
Yes. So he's 16, and then I have twin adopted little sisters.
Oh wow.
So they're
family.
Yes. What a blended family. It's wild. They are their mom's first cousin, which is very cool. So and my little sisters ran right up to me like they knew me their whole life. Gave me ginormous hugs and just said, "Hi, Athena." I got to talk to them a little bit between the initial meeting with my dad and Thanksgiving over the phone. Them a little bit. I remember my youngest brother. He came up and kind of gave me like a bro hug. Cool dude.
One question I have for you is: at what point did you come clean to
Oh,
your
yes.
father that you have been having this relationship with your uncle? And didn't your uncle buy your wedding dress for you when you got
Yes.
married? Like your uncle really stood up.
He did. He was my pseudo father for a long time.
Right. So when did you come clean and say, "Oh, by the way, cousin and I were sitting on the couch next to each other"?
Yeah. It was so he got there that Sunday night, and he had told me that his wife was like, you can't let her meet her uncle. You can't let her meet the rest of the family first without meeting you, right? That's not right. And when he told me that, I was like, oof, I can't in good conscience. So I made it through the night without mentioning anything. But the next morning, my uncle and my cousin had brought his twin daughters to school. And I was like, look, I got to tell you something. I've been here before. And it was a mix of like shock. Like he was kind of like, what? At first, it was a mix of shock and guilt, and it kind of hit him really hard a lot. Cause he thought that I was going to meet him right when I met everybody else, but that wasn't how it happened. And I remember I could just see his face and his heart just sink because he was trying to make everything right. But yeah, he definitely sank, but it was the day after he got there.
I was wondering when you were talking about you were arguing, like, was that a part of the argument?
Yes. Yes. We argued a lot. There was a lot of accusations on my part, just trying to process everything. So I've gone through lots of different waves of emotions from, shock to anger to almost wishing I could deny him, but I don't have that choice. I can't do that. There's a lot of emotions, and we've spent a lot of time arguing. A lot of it is because I have a really hard time letting go of what happened, but we're working there. Yeah.
How are things going now, Athena?
I never thought I could ever have this most amazing life I have now. I talked a little bit about my mom. We don't have a great relationship. My stepmom, she has become, I always tell my dad, I was like, dude, you had me with the wrong person. Like, she should have been my mom.
Oh, I know that feeling. You keep looking over. So we haven't told anybody yet, but your stepmom is with you, and we are going to
Yes.
be talking with her at the end of the show. So buckle up.
But she should have been my mom. I say that all the time. I say that to everybody I talk about it with. She should have been my mom. She accepted me and my husband and my kids with open arms. My kids call her Grammy. She, we have the most amazing life now. Me and my kids and my husband. Things are great with my dad. Still working on forgiveness. It's a work in progress. But we're good. We talk every day. We play video games together all the time. He likes to call me on his way home from work every day. Things are good with him. I talk to my brothers all the time. Things are a little bit harder with my 23-year-old brother because he grew up being the big brother. So it's a little bit I know for him, his biggest thing was he doesn't get to have the first grandkids anymore.
Right.
And he's been amazing. He is amazing. He is so accepting and so like, yeah, this is just the way things are now. But it's a little bit harder for us to connect. But we work on it. My middle brother, he is amazing. He has the biggest heart and he's huge. He's super tall and like buff and he's got the biggest heart. He's so funny. Things are good with him. My youngest brother, he is such a goober, and I'll have days where I'm kind of down, and he is incessant. He won't give up until he can make me laugh or smile. He is amazing. He was one of the first ones to treat me like I'd been there. You know, always been there. He picks on me just like everybody else. So,
Right.
I remember he called me a name. I don't remember what it was. It was some little picky name, and I started crying because I was like, "Oh my god, my brother just called me a name for the first time. This is amazing."
Rivalry.
My little sisters, they're great. They talk to me every day. Text me every morning, tell me good morning before they go to school. They're amazing.
So you live close?
We don't. We live about, I think it's 12 or 13 hours apart. So
No.
yes, a different time zone. They live down in Texas. I live in Wyoming. But they've been super great about meeting up for family vacations. We just had a week-long vacation with them in March down in Texas. They flew us down, paid our way, everything. It was amazing. So they've been really, really focusing on in-person time with us, which helps healing so much.
Right.
My siblings have just like taken the role of aunts and uncles, like they were made for it. Like my middle brother, he loves the baby, but they've taken to being aunts and uncles very well. They just jump right in with them, like they've always been there. So yeah, like I said, my stepmom and I are super close with my dad now. Things are a little bit rough with my uncle though now.
Really?
Yes, and I remember when my dad first came up, and I was worried I'd have to choose between them. That's just how I felt. My dad was my uncle was basically my dad for 2 years. He bought my wedding dress. My kids were calling him grandpa. And if my dad hadn't chosen to tell his wife, my uncle was going to take responsibility for me so I could know the rest of my family that way.
So you would have been able to meet your grandparents as
that way eventually, yes.
Right.
So I mean, things are a little bit weird now with my uncle. Just a little bit awkward. I think for him it's where do I sit in her life now? Yeah. You know, where do I belong in this situation now because you have your dad? So it's a little bit weird. But we still talk every day. We're still very close. It's just a little bit we're trying to figure out I'm trying to figure out how to live with my dad in my life now. I'm trying to figure out where each person's spot in my life is.
Yeah.
So we're just it's a learning curve for everybody, for sure.
Let me ask a question, Athena. What advice would you offer to other people who are embarking on a similar, journey of searching for their biological truth? Now that you've been through.
My biggest advice would be not to wait. I see it all too often in these situations. People wait until they're older and then they don't get the chance to meet their biological parent or their grandparents. I know in a lot of situations their biological parents are no longer with us, and then they don't get to have a relationship with their siblings. Don't wait. That is my biggest advice, and don't give up. Never ever give up. If you can't find them, your time will come eventually. If they initially deny you, don't give up on them. There's always a chance they will come around.
That's right.
Beautiful.
And we've had that, Athena. Like, your story is unique, but it's not unique because so many clients in our client group on Facebook say, don't give up. Because, when I first talked to my dad a year ago, he wanted nothing to do with this, but he's had time to process. Sometimes we've known, like in your situation, you've known all your life that you were searching for your dad, and that he probably didn't know about you. But when he found out, this was brand new to him. So that's his initial reaction: panic. Oh my God, I'm going to get caught. My wife's going to hate me. It's going to destroy my family. But given a second chance, he was able to come to a better decision.
Yes.
And hopefully have some grace with that. So it sounds like you had grace with it and his wife had grace with it. But of course, there are still hurt feelings there, right? That's just going to take time to get over, I think. And I don't think we ever forget that happens, but we sure can move forward,
Absolutely, yes.
Athena, thank you so much for telling your story. We appreciate it. We're not done yet, though. We actually emailed with your dad because dad was going to join us, right? Well, then second thoughts, he didn't want to, but he wanted to share his part of the story because he felt it was so important to share. So I emailed him some questions. And so I'm going to read those questions and Heidi's going to answer them as if, she were your dad. And then we're going to bring on your stepmom, Randy. And I don't want to call her a stepmom. I want to call her a bonus mom because I have some experiences with bonus moms. And I can't wait to talk to her too. So let's go ahead and get into this. And just for those who are guests and who are viewing this right now, if you have any questions for Athena or any comments, please leave them in the comment section and we will come back and address those with Athena, and maybe Athena can answer the questions in our comment section too. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Athena. So Heidi, do you have the answers ready?
I do.
Okay. So Athena's dad's name is Kirk. So I asked Kirk, what was your initial reaction when you first received contact from your daughter, and how did you feel in that moment?
So dad said, and I'm calling him dad.
Yes.
His dad, right? When I first heard from Athena, I was overwhelmed with a mix of shock and disbelief. It took me a while to process the full reality of the situation, but my initial instinct was fear of the unknown, fear of disrupting my family, fear of facing the consequences of my past actions. But beneath that, there was also a profound sense of connection that I just couldn't ignore. So he felt that same feeling that you talked about earlier, which gave me goosebumps when you talked about that.
I'm getting so emotional over here. A lot of times we don't have a chance to find a dad that's living and get these answers. So this is going to be really profound for a lot of people. I really appreciate your dad sharing this. So if you're watching, Kirk, thank you so much. So your daughter's journey involved a roller coaster of emotions, including rejection, acceptance, and forgiveness. how did you navigate your own emotions through this process?
My journey has been emotionally complex. Initially, I struggled with guilt and confusion. I still do with the guilt. There were times of denial and avoidance, but after facing the truth with my wife, I was able to accept the situation, and I found myself moving towards a desired need for reconciliation and healing. My wife has been instrumental through all of this in challenging me to be open about my feelings, as I've always kept them to myself, which a lot of men do, right? It's hard for them.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, men are just not open books like women are. Many men are not. There are some that are. So facing the truth. So I asked him, coming to terms with past actions can be challenging. Can you share your experience of confronting the truth about your daughter and the impact that it had on you and your family?
Admitting the truth about Athena to myself and my family was one of the hardest things I've ever done. It forced me to confront parts of my past that I had sealed away. The impact on my family was profound. It tested our bonds and our ability to forgive. Thankfully, with openness and many difficult discussions, I feel we've started to heal together.
Yeah. So making amends, what steps do you take to reconcile with your daughter and mend the relationship? And how do you approach rebuilding trust and communication?
Reconciling with Athena began with sincere apologies and acknowledging her feelings and experiences. We spent a lot of time talking, arguing, listening, and simply being there for one another. Building trust has been a gradual process that requires consistency, patience, and openness from both sides. Family visits have helped us learn a lot about each other. And he put a little smiley emoji.
And he made a lot in all capital letters. I think that one-on-one connection is really important, right, Athena? Because anybody can say anything over the internet or on the phone, but it's in person, eye-to-eye contact, skin-to-skin touch that really tell the truth of the situation, right?
Absolutely. You can't hide as much in person.
Yeah, your dad has some explaining to do, but I like your dad. I like your dad a lot. So has the revelation of your daughter's existence affected your family dynamics? How have your other children and wife responded to this new chapter in your lives?
The revelation has certainly changed our family dynamics. It was a difficult time initially, but it also brought us closer as we navigated this new reality together. My wife's compassion towards Athena is a beautiful example of grace in action, and my other children have been building a relationship with their sister, some more quickly than others.
Sure. I understand that too. Someday I'll tell my story, but it's the same with me and like my siblings. I'm closer to some of them than I am others, but it doesn't mean I love them any less. It just means I'm closer, you know?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So looking to the future, as you move forward, what are your hopes and aspirations for your relationship with your daughter and your extended family?
Moving forward, I hope to continue strengthening the bonds with Athena and integrating her into our family life. I am committed to being present, supportive, and loving, allowing our relationship to grow naturally. My wife and I are also focused on fostering an inclusive family environment where everybody feels valued and connected.
Athena, I'm sorry, you just hit this. You hit the jackpot. Like it was horrible. It was a horrible beginning, but you just hit the jackpot. You really did. You really did. I'm having a hard time. I want to ugly cry so bad. So looking back on your journey, what have been the most significant lessons you've learned about love, family, and forgiveness?
This journey has taught me invaluable lessons about the power of unconditional love. It showed me the strength required to forgive and the resilience of family bonds. It also reminded me that facing the truth, no matter how painful and how difficult, is the first step towards healing and redemption.
I'm sorry. So, what advice would you give to other parents who may find themselves in a similar situation? How can they approach the complexities of family relationships with honesty and empathy?
To anyone finding themselves in a similar situation, I would advise openness and honesty from the start, as difficult as it seems. Always prioritize the emotional well-being of all involved. It's a journey of patience, forgiveness, redemption, and love, but it's worth every step. There's two more, Athena. We can do it.
Is there anything you'd like to express gratitude for, whether it's to individuals who supported you during this journey or to your daughter for her courage and preservation? Perseverance. Thank you.
I am immensely grateful to my wife for her strength and grace. I cannot wait to meet her, side note. Her resilience and support have been my pillars, our family's pillars during this time. I am grateful to Athena for her courage in reaching out and her willingness to forgive.
Thank you, Heidi. So, closing thoughts to Kirk. Finally, what message would you like to share with our viewers who may be touched by your story? What words of encouragement or wisdom would you offer to those who are navigating their own paths of reconciliation and healing?
This really got me in my feels.
Oh boy.
To anyone touched by our story, remember that healing takes time. Embrace compassion, seek understanding, and allow time and space for emotions. Healing is possible, and the journey, though complex, can lead to profound connections and a deeper appreciation of what it means to be family. Lastly, do not give up. I am so thankful for Athena's persistence and that she chose not to give up.
Amen. All I can say is amen there. What a great daddy. I just want to take a moment. Let's just take 30 seconds to have a couple of deep breaths. Let's scoot in Randy so that she can join us. Just take a moment.
Go grab her.
Get a hug. Do you need to go get her?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Right. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead. She is so strong, Heidi.
She's so brave.
Very brave.
Amazing.
I'm so grateful that she shared her story with us. I'm so grateful to the dad and to the mom. You know?
Hi.
Hello. So were you able to hear Athena's story as she was talking?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. I don't even know how to introduce you. So your name's Randy. Mm-hmm. You are Kirk's wife and Athena's stepmom, but we're gonna call you lovingly her bonus mom.
Thank you.
I honestly feel like a lot of this would not have been possible without you, because I have my own story. I know that it is the wife that can make or break the deal. And even in our best practices guide, we have a best practices guide that we give to every client at the end of every story. And when you open it up, one of the 8 tips that we give you is include the wife. Do not have like private conversations with your dad. Have a family conversation. We highly recommend that you give as much respect.
You're lagging, Laura,
to that wife as you do this. Okay, let's just give it a moment. Okay, am I back?
Wait, yeah, you're back. I think that Athena and Randy should sit next to each other so that we can have Athena's reaction.
Yeah.
And then kind of center it a little bit. That's good.
Where are we?
She looks relaxed now, doesn't she? She's like, I'm out of the hot seat.
That's good. That's good.
I think that the wife is what I was trying to say is that victim in this, right? the situation happened on her watch while she was married to who is the father of Athena. And so I think the first thing you probably had to do was, well, let's ask. Husband told you all of a sudden that he had been unfaithful. And not only that, he had a child. So you pick it up from there, if you don't mind, and tell us what happened next.
Okay. That was probably the worst day. He came in the house crying. I thought somebody had died. He told me he had to tell me something. And he told me, at this point, we'd married 26 years. And he said, I messed up 25 years ago, and I have a 24-year-old daughter. My world kind of shattered in that moment. It was just a punch to the gut, totally unexpected. Not the kind of life we've had together. Never saw it coming. So straight away it was, the who, when, where, why, all that, sorting through that. And then one of the first questions after that initial, reveal was, I wanted to know her name. Because he kept calling her his daughter. And I was like, what is her name? He told me it was Athena. And I wanted to know when he found out. And he said it was 2 years earlier. And that upset me just as much, if not more, than the affair. Because the affair, I could say he was young. He had just turned 23. He was a kid. But actively hiding her for 2 years, he did that in the present. And so that killed me. That was just as hard as the rest of it. So that day was really hard. I told him he had to tell our children, and called the one home from college, sat them all down, and he told the kids. That was a really hard moment. I vividly, one of my daughters, while some were crying, one yelled out at him, like, why would you do this? We already lost one family, because my daughters are adopted. They were terrified. They all were. It was really hard. My husband hid it all these years. He was so sure I was going to divorce him.
Yeah.
The kids were terrified.
That's probably one of the biggest threats that we give our husband is, if you do this, I'm gone. I'm not that kind of person, right?
Right. But at this point in our lives, we've been together. We've built this huge life, have a big family. I couldn't see that as a solution to destroy everything for everyone. The only way I could see through it was to work it all out together. It was the only way I felt that to take this thing that was so hard. I wanted something worthwhile to come of it, and I wanted Athena to have a dad. Every kid, that's just a fundamental right to know your parents.
Right.
And I felt like that was the only way it was really going to make sense for her to be able to know her family, her siblings, her dad.
I saw it. I don't mean to interrupt you, but to me, it's almost like you are the MVP of the story, because it would have been so much more common to just sweep it underneath the rug. Let's pretend like this isn't happening. Okay, this happened, but let's keep it a secret. I don't want to,
I'm not going to love another woman's child. We've heard it all.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but instead you said, you're going to man up and do the right thing.
Right.
And
I feel very strongly, she's not a secret. She never should have been. And so, initially the first few days, I don't remember a whole lot. I mean, it was hard. And I think it was the third day, we had a very emotional discussion that day, and I just told him, I said, I can't resolve this with you until you make things right with your daughter. And I told him I wanted him to go because that was when he learned she was going to be there. And I'm like, she's only 8 hours away. You have to go. You have to take this opportunity. And at first he said, no, I need to be here. I need to fix things with you and the family. And I said, I need you to go. And I always tell her, I wish I had that moment recorded for her. The look on his face, because he said, he just looked at me, he was like, really? He's like, are you sure? He was like, really? And I could see the relief and the joy all at the same time that he was finally going to get to be there with her and to have her in his life, and it was going to be okay. I tell her he ran to her. He was out the door in 5 minutes once I was like, no, you need to do this. And he just threw this bag together so fast and out the door. And I was terrified because he hadn't been eating or sleeping. We were a mess. But it needed to be done. And I could tell in that moment this was something he really needed as well. Like, this is something that had been inside of him for so long.
So I want to interrupt for just a minute. That tells you a lot about him as a father, Athena. Sorry, I gotta try and talk through it. For him to be that excited that his wife, first of all, was not going to divorce him right away, but she forgave him. But to be that excited to say, really, I can go. That means that for the last couple of years, that's what he really wanted. So even though his decision, sorry, I hope you can hear me. I'm sorry. Even though his decision was to say no contact because of that anxiety and that fear of the unknown, right? His actual thought was, I want to love her and accept her as my daughter. Please continue. I want to know how you work through this. Sorry, I'm trying so hard not to cry so hard.
I'm going to interrupt for a minute. I remember my dad had just left my uncle's house to go back home after the initial meeting, and she had gotten my number from him. She sent me a message. She said, I need you to know I'm not going to stand in the way. I will meet you someday. And I need to know, like, I need to see you. You're a person. And in that moment, I knew it was all going to be okay. Getting that message from her, it gave me the last bit of courage I needed to make sure that we could get through it.
I would love to just sit with you, Randy, for a little while and just hold your hand, give you a look, there are some questions that I'm supposed to ask you, but I'm not going to just because we're running out of time. Tell us more. How do you move forward? I mean, what you do with your husband is really your personal business. It's obvious that you've forgiven him. You're going to love him through it, and you're going to love Athena through it. And it's not always going to be peaches and cream, right? Yeah. There's going to be hard days. Hang on.
We learned to stay away from the alcohol together.
Yeah. So how do you move forward as a family? What does that look like for you as the bonus mom? Are you looking forward to like stepping in and really helping provide that mother figure to Athena that she also was lacking?
Oh yeah, it's been like we talk every day. We chat. I think from the moment I texted her and said I supported a relationship, I wouldn't be in the way of it. I wanted them to have one another. We really connected because we both, it's a bit of a trauma bond initially because we both had this profound amount of pain and hurt from this person that we love. So we connected on that level. And we just, it's grown from there. Like I said, we talk all the time. We talk on the phone together as a family. We do a lot of video calls, phone calls, just on speaker with each other. We're very committed to like family vacation. It's just kind of understood that they're going to be a part of that now. So we'll see them again in June. And just spend as much time together as we can and make the most of this time. Make up for as much of the lost time as we can.
And you're doing healing activities together too. I know that. So listen, in all frankness, we're recording this the day before DNA Day. So tomorrow actually is the opening of Untangling Our Roots, I believe. And you're going to, or it's this week, you're going together as daughter and bonus mom. And I'm telling you what, they're going to eat her alive. They're going to love her. They're going to want her to come speak on panels. Tell them no. Like, she's DNAngels mom. She's our mom. Now you can do what you want. We would love for you to represent DNAngels. Trust me, they all want to talk to you. You are the wife. It's very rare to have representation of the wife. So thank you for having that strength. I'm so encouraged that, and I apologize for the dog in the background. Heidi, can you take over for a second?
Well, it has been amazing hearing your story. And even though I played a very, 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 very small role in it, no, very small. I mean, it's these kind of stories that make all the hours that I put into doing what we do worth it. And you're so brave. And your bonus mom is a beautiful person inside and out. And I'm just so happy that you have this family that you've always craved for and deserve. And I really hope for y'all to make many more memories on vacations and with the grandbabies and with Grammy and cook cookies in the kitchen. I'm just really excited for y'all. And it took so much bravery for you, Athena, to do this.
Took a lot of bravery on her part too.
Both of y'all.
It really did. I agree. So I heard everything that you said as I was yelling at my dog. Like I said, this is real life, and we just put ourselves out there. You know, I would really like to have Randy come back in the future at some point and maybe do a more exclusive show with Randy and maybe some other family members that are impacted, not your family, but other, guests and their family members. And let's just sit around and have a roundtable discussion about it.
Okay.
And see what we can do for our community to like begin that healing, right? Within the community too. Because so many in our community are rejected, right? It's just easy to say no. Like, you've lived your life, you don't need me now. Is kind of the thought and the idea for so many people, especially the older generation.
Oh,
Athena's still young, so there's time there to make some memories. But I'd love to have you back on. But with that, I'm going to ask you guys to stay for just a second, but I'm going to end the show. And we thank you so much, everybody, for watching. We will have a new show every Thursday at noon. So please keep coming back. Don't forget to hit subscribe.